All right, can you hear me better now? Cool. So what I was saying was, I'm going to be low today because I brought my son in and he's sleeping over there in the corner. It took like an hour to get him to sleep, but I was working too. Yeah, so at some point he might wake up, but he just ate and he's doing good. So let's let everyone in. Totally cool. So we've been talking a lot about this Rhino coin and all of the power and capability it's going to have in terms of, I don't want to ever say redistributing wealth because that's kind of like a very taboo phrase. I will never be in favor of somebody doing well and then having money taken from them to give to somebody not doing well. But also on that spectrum, there is extreme points, right? Like you're allowed to have a drink, but if you have 100 drinks, you'll die, right? So you could take things to an extreme. And the way the system is set up with capitalism, it's fantastic. If everyone works in their own self-interest and everyone does their best to receive and produce as much profit as possible, everyone does better. And the idea being, well, Aunt, if I'm being selfish and looking out for myself and that person's being selfish and looking out for their self, we're obviously combative. No, you're competing. But say, for instance, I come out with a soda. My soda is the best soda ever and it's $1. Okay, cool, I'm making all the profit. In fact, your soda is not as good as my soda, so you're not selling any. In a vacuum, I'm going to receive 100% of the money, you're going to receive 0% of the money. So when people say capitalism's bad, that's what they cite. But what actually happens in reality? You go ahead and say, okay, I need to come up with a better soda. Let's invest in a better soda. Let's invest in a different angle for people to like our soda. Let's go ahead and maybe make a less expensive soda. You do other things to create a market or to identify a market for an alternate product, which means our competition has lifted us both up. And at the same time, it's given the consumer choices, and not only choices, but less expensive choices. Therefore, I did good, you did good, they did good, everyone did good. The problem with capitalism is that when those in charge of making the rules are not checked, the game skews. So when you go ahead and have people in government that have no term limits, and then when they leave government 20, 30, 40 years later, and then they then go to the corporations as lobbyists to lobby their friends in government to give that corporation added benefits, it then creates an era where it's unfair. So as long as things are fair, everyone can compete fairly. When things are unfair, now the competition skews. The problem with the competition skewing is it becomes like a snowball. As those that have an unfair benefit continue to receive larger and larger unfair benefits, less and less people can compete against them. In fact, they just continually wipe people out. Like Facebook, for instance, who can compete with Facebook? There is no way. In fact, the only way to compete with Facebook is say, okay, Facebook, you're a monopoly. We're going to split off WhatsApp. We're going to split off Instagram. We're going to split off Facebook. We're going to split off Metaverse. And now these are all companies that can compete with each other. In doing so, now you could harness competition. But without doing so, there is no competition. It's just this company eats up all these other ones. Here's the problem and what I'm getting to. Because it's always in a company's best interest to look for any advantage it could get, companies will always do this. It's the government that's supposed to act as a biased third party, or non-biased, I'm sorry. Well, not even non-biased. They're supposed to act biased, but in the favor of their constituents. Their constituents that vote them, they act on their behalf. So when you have a whole bunch of constituents say, hey, listen, we can't compete against them because they're far too large. We voted you to Congress, go do something about it. then that congressman will go ahead and enact rules, gain a majority, and go ahead and break up that company. But what's actually happening? Because business has gotten so large, they're able to buy Congress. And because they're able to buy Congress, they're able to go ahead and maneuver them the way they want. Well, Anthony, that doesn't change the fact that people still have to vote them in. But does it? If you're able to buy Congress, you're able to buy the media with it. Therefore, when somebody, like say, for instance, you have a Democratic politician who comes out and says, hey, listen, we need to print more money to go ahead and give all the money to the disadvantaged communities. Well, in an honest scenario, the media would come out and say, hey guys, look what we found. It's called a calculator. Those numbers don't work. In fact, by doing that, you're adding all this debt to future generations. We're not saying right or wrong, but we're saying the people that vote you should be aware that what you're doing is dishonestly proposing a solution when in reality, you're sending the bill to their grandchildren. So as long as people know that, we're cool. But because the media is owned as well by these large corporations, that doesn't happen. So what happens? These congressmen are able to go ahead and win the vote of the least educated voter, or the one that's most desperate, ones that need some type of welfare system, ones that are undocumented and need to not be deported out of the country, ones that have been sold a bill of goods that racism or some other thing has artificially kept them down, ones that believe that the Republicans are behind trying to kill them with COVID. So when you take the population of that underserved community, you could gain a consensus. In gaining that consensus, did you earn that consensus or did you buy that consensus? Did you trick that consensus? And the only reason you were able to do that was because that consensus never grew up with the level of opportunity to have a level of education to vote what's really in their best interest, because they never knew what was in their best interest because they were never educated to know what was in their best interest. So the point of what I'm saying is capitalism is great, but if it's operating in an unfair basis, that multiplies each generation that there comes after it. So at the end of capitalism, you have what you have during the whole way. You have owners and CEOs that are always, and they should be, acting in their own self-interest. But it's like say, for instance, I'm in a boxing match, right? Like I'm a boxer. Well, I'm going to go in there to win, right? And it's government's job to make sure that the competition is at least equal, that I'm going in there and facing a 6'2", 35-year-old Italian man. And I say Italian because I'm Italian, right? But it could be any man that's 220 pounds so that it's fair. What's now happening? So what happens? I go in the boxing ring and I could die. I'm going to box as hard as I could. I'm not going to hold any punches because of that person. It's not my job to go ahead and serve them as well. They're my competition. It's the job of the referees to make sure that they're well served, and the referees are voted by the people that come to the show. What's actually happening today is these corporations are boxing against people that are woefully underqualified. So taking that same example, I'm a 6'2", 220, 35-year-old man, and I'm boxing 14-year-old children. The point is, I'm in the boxing ring doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm trained, I'm gonna box, I'm gonna fight, but I'm gonna kill the 14-year-old because he's not equipped to box with me. He's never been allowed. And on top of that, because he's so ill-equipped, he knows he's gonna lose, so he doesn't get in the ring. And if he does get in the ring, he loses in front of everyone. So everyone else knows not to get in the ring. So you know what everyone does from now on? I'm not getting in the ring with that guy. It's unfair. Look, it's white privilege. Look, it's racism. Look, it's the wealthy taking over. And they start creating narratives why it's unfair, when the reality is it's unfair because they were never given a chance by the same media who's helping them create the narrative against that person. This is what happens. So as a CEO of a company, I still box and do my best. The ultimate outcome is that all the CEOs in the nation have 100% of the wealth by simply doing what they're supposed to do. There's the problem. Because if a select amount of people, say 1% of the world, have 100% of the wealth simply by winning and competing, that's a problem. Because in the real world, there's real people, and there's a thing called population. Therefore, if 1% of the population has 100% of the wealth of the population, then the other 99% have 0% of the wealth. But you know what they have? 99% of the population. That's what a revolution is called. That's the definition of it. When the vast majority of people say, hey, listen, you took everything from us. We're done playing by the rules. We're going to go get it. Which is exactly why those that are wealthy and those that are CEOs will always tell you, yeah, we're going to compete our best, but we're not going to fight the 14-year-old kid. It's not in our best interest to take everything, because when we take everything, we leave everyone else out. When you take an incentive and a motivation away from people, when people lose it, they lose it. Therefore, if you ask any wealthy person today or any CEO, are you comfortable with the wealth distribution and the wealth disparity between you and your employees? The answer is no. In fact, it's dangerous. In fact, it's no, please save us. So what do? So they start voting Democrat, right? All right, Democrat, we have these welfare programs. We have this community re-education. We have these reparations. We have this undocumented worker thing, all of this stuff. Well, what happens when you give money to Congress? Now you're left with Congress allocating it correctly. What is Congress? Congress is a body of individuals voted in by the constituents. Do they have like corporate experience? Do they have any level of experience that they ever actually had to work a job? No, these are guys that come into their position of power because they've known everyone along the way. Their daddy was a congressman, or somebody picked them in the community because they got really good grades and they went to an Ivy League school, or they have a doctorate at Harvard, but they've never actually been in the real world. In fact, they're simply getting paid because of their ideas. Oh, I'm a good-looking white guy. I have a couple of good ideas. I'm charismatic. I could get an audience together. Therefore, vote me to do this. Now I have a bevy of handlers, right? Like all of my managers and analysts, and they say, hey, Anthony, if you want to win this district, you got to do this. And if you want to do this, and if you have to do this. And who are they really? Those are the lobbyists that came from the corporations. You know, you have to do this, but we don't touch those people because they make sure we get reelected in that district because they are unionized. The point of the story is it's designed to really confuse you, right? Like, what do you do in this situation? Are we so far gone that the only thing left is to push that snowball to revolution? I don't think we are. I think what we need to do is create a program, create a platform that allows those with money and those without money to be the natural partners that they've always wanted to be. In fact, if you ask anyone with money, would you go ahead and donate 1%, 5% to go ahead and re-educate and uplift the bottom community? Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever played Monopoly? And you played Monopoly with a couple of friends, and it gets down to two people. It's you and like your girlfriend or something. And you have, of course, houses on all of the board and hotels on all the board, and you have all the $500 bills. And your girlfriend or your friend is simply just hoping that they roll a 2 or roll a 7 so they can get to free parking. And then they land on your house. What do you say? All right, don't worry about it. You don't have to pay for this one. Because you're playing a game. The spirit is to continue playing the game. The game is for entertainment. So now all of a sudden you say, okay, you know what? I'll give you 2,000. Let's see if you can play with that. Because when the game is over, it's over. Therefore, when you take a look at CEOs in the wealthy 1%, they understand they're playing a game. They have more money than they ever know what to do with. For instance, if I was on this world by myself, right? Anthony, here's $1 trillion. You now own a country, but everyone else in the country has 0, and they live in caves. And you live in this big mansion, and you have these service people and all the rest, but nobody goes out to dinner. No one could afford anything. That sounds like hell to me. I would never want to be a part of that. That sounds like the most miserable experience anyone could ever have. The point of competing and winning is so that you could go ahead and participate in the game still. You just want to compete and win the game. You don't want to end the game. People need to understand the difference of that. So what we've designed is Rhino. Rhino is a platform that allows these people to contribute to these people. And the way we do it through Rhino platform is through our curriculums, our highest level value contents, our Rhino University, our Rhino Marketplace, our Rhino Traffic, our Rhino Wealth, our Rhino Health, our Rhino Dating, all of these things. But on top of that, we're not just a university to go ahead and say, all right, we're going to train you and then, good luck. No, we're going to make sure that we give you the Rhino coin. You're going to get distributions of Rhino coin every single month. Everything for you is going to be completely free, and you're going to get distributions of Rhino coin. Here's why. In January 2023, Rhino coin will be the only means of transaction on this platform. Therefore, we know it's going to be worth a lot dependent on how big the platform gets, right? You could say something's going to be the sole means of transaction, but if no one's transacting, what is it worth? So by bringing everyone on and creating the most valued content and giving it away for free and giving everyone the coin, we're building a platform that allows everyone to participate, everyone to grow, everyone to grow, 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 grow. Where's it being financed from? Well, because the value of the coin is dependent on the size of the platform, and because we're giving the platform away for free and working every single second of every single day to make sure not only do we give it, to make sure not only that we give a good experience, that we grow it, those that own the coin are then completely happy to own it because that becomes an investment. Every week they see their coin go up in value. That's where they give the money. That's where we get the money from. But are we only making them money? No, that's the whole point of this. We want to actually give money to everyone in it. Therefore, we give everyone coin. In fact, we give everyone the opportunity to continue buying coin at set prices. In January, 2 cents, March, 3 cents, April, 4 cents, 1 penny every month thereafter until January 2023, where the coin is now a free floating currency. Now, at that point, it's priced as adoption, transactions, volume, and supply. We have all the supply. It's in our treasury. We can always manage the price to go higher. Transactions, we see transactions on the platform all day. Adoption, how many people did we bring on it? Volume, transactions times adoption equals the volume. We could go ahead and offer these numbers every single week. We can go ahead and allow you to buy coin. We can also go ahead and allow you to sell coin. Imagine being able to buy coin at 2 cents and knowing the next month you could sell it at 3 cents. Why? Because we're not in this to be like these dirt bags that go ahead and create something, throw it against the wall, see what spaghetti sticks, and left you holding the bag. We actually know how something's valued. And it's not hocus pocus. What's the supply? What's the demand? If you hold supply steady and you raise the demand, the value increases. This is 101. And what we're going to do is make sure we spend the time offering the education that everyone involved knows exactly what they're doing. Because here's the name of the game. Here's the true key. When we are able to continually support the rise of the value of the coin, and in January 2023, where it becomes the only means of transaction, and the companies that are receiving dollars and having it immediately transacted to coin, because that's what they have to do to be on our platform. And of course, they get to redeem it with us. We stand ready to redeem it, or they can redeem it on the free floating marketplace. So it's not like they're stuck with coin, but it gets transacted into coin, which just supports the value of the coin, right? Duh. Here's the name of the game. When that coin continues to go up in value, and companies say to themselves, yeah, we just sold $100 and now we have $100 in Rhino coin. I don't really want to redeem the whole 100 though. Let's redeem 75 and leave 25 on our balance sheet because this is an investable asset. The coin just keeps going up in value. What is the value of a coin that is in the hands of all the largest investors because they financed it? Is at the benefit of the entire 99% community that's growing with it, that's able to transact in it, that's able to hold it for investment, that's able to buy and sell it, that's able to continue receiving it, that's on a platform where every business owns it. What's the value of that coin? I'll tell you this, it will be the world's first ever of its kind. And what I'm saying is, starting next week, we're going to educate you and offering you the opportunity to get into it at this stage of the game, at 2 cents. Because if the number that you're coming up with is higher than 2 cents, then this is where we create the generational wealth that's funded by the generational wealth that's been taken from us, that allows us to create the education and the opportunity to continue growing while creating Rhino traffic and Rhino marketplace that allows us to transact and allows us all to be supportive of ourselves, independent, and support the generations beneath us. We can all do it together, because imagine this. I'll leave you with this. No business, no government, no nothing is worth anything without the people. So if 99% of the people are looking for a better way, then why haven't they received it? The only reason is because they're purposely divided to think that their neighbor is their enemy. They're not. Very clearly, 99% of people could say that 1% is who owe us. Now, I'm not advocating like lynching or overthrowing people or throwing spears or doing bad stuff. Violence is never the answer. But I can promise you, if you tell those people, hey guys, listen, you've literally taken everything. And if you continue taking everything, we're going to revolt. So let's go ahead and sit at a table and decide how we're going to best do this, where you could benefit and we could benefit. 100% of the time, they would say yes. What this platform is me having done all of that already. I'm Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m., 1 hour every night right here. Friday, 2 o'clock, 1 hour. Saturday, 12 o'clock, not 1 hour today. It's only going to be a half hour because my son's about to wake up. But I'm always going to be right here. Our platform, our app is in the final stage of approval. It's waiting for Apple and Google to say so. The community is at large. We've built the platform. We have this. Remember, anyone could create an idea. But if you don't have a platform, you just have an idea. You know what companies have platforms? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, Rhino. Those are your platforms. We created it. We invested for it. Now we're going to run with it. So I love everyone. I have a call with Laura in 8 minutes. Laura, I see you on. I'm going to call you right now. And I'll see everyone Monday. Try to enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's my fiance's birthday tomorrow, so I'm going to do my best to spend time with her, and also for my own mental sanity. And then next week, we have a very busy week. The goal is that the following week, we could start going to go ahead and allowing you to participate. And there's no minimums, there's no maximums. Hey, I have $100. Give me 100 Rhino coin, right? Like, hey, I have 1,000. Hey, I have 10,000. But the best part about this is the fact that we're going to be reporting the statistics every week. So I'm going to report to you where the money's coming from. I'm going to report to you the growth statistics of the transactions, the members, everything. Point being, all of your buying will be dependent on you. You'll be able to say, okay, I know what the supply is. I know what the demand is. I see the growth. I could take advantage of the opportunity, and these are the projections. I'll tell you something. You know what we're really doing? We're creating our time, and we're smart enough to do it. You know why? Because here's the opportunity that no one ever seems to understand. When 99% agree with you, then if there's a will, there's a way. That's the easiest calculation I could give you. When 99% agree with you, plus a will equals a way. Welcome to Rhino. Laura, I'm calling you now. Love everyone. Have the best weekend.